Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Many women have a coulda. Oh, let me say something from the rip. This is any woman, regardless of race, culture, ethnic background, alien species, okay? I think I gotta get back to the point of pointing that out. Anyway, right, I was talking with a good friend of mine the other day, a young lady, and y'all know me, they could be 75 and I call them a young lady. But anyway, I was talking with her and she was talking about she was at recently at a family reunion, right, in her hometown, right, and her mother was from that same hometown, right. So she said, while she was there, this dude who had went to school with her mother came up to her and said, "Hey, tell your mama I said hi," right? Say, okay. So she did. She told her mama, dude said hi. And her mama said to her, he said, "You know what? That could have been your father." He said, "Yeah, don't tell your actual father." You would have had that other dude's genes, though. I was like, oh, snap. Oh, man. You know what? And this is just some on that tip of game for men. Most women, and I ain't gonna say all because I haven't talked to every single woman, but most women, especially ones I've talked to, got a coulda, like a guy they could have been with. And in fact, in my book Sexual Chemistry, I said it's only a small percentage of women who are married or in a long-term relationship with the guy that they actually wanted. Many women out there have that one guy that opened them up, rocked their world, that they were in love with, and could have been the man, but it was always something that prevented them from getting together. Now, this ain't like a bad thing or an example of a bad female's nature. It just is. It really is. Sometimes some stuff, especially with men, they think everything women do is bad. Sometimes some stuff just is, And the truth of the matter is, sometimes all relationships aren't meant to be long term anyway, And depending if that guy was kind of decent, if that guy was her imprint, he might be part of the reason you with her anyway. But regardless of the case, many women had that coulda, that guy that, they could have been with. They could have been the father of her children. She could have had a life with. And this is important for men to understand if you're looking for a long-term relationship. It's not really an issue if you just want to have sex with her real quick or something. It really don't matter who she was with beforehand. She could have been with 1,000 men beforehand. If you just want sex with her, hey, that's fine. But when you're talking about a long-term relationship, it's something you have to think about. And just to be clear, it's not like you can't have a long-term relationship with this woman. Oh, that's far from the case, because it depends on the nature of that coulda. If it was a situation where they had a passionate love affair and everything, but they broke up under bad circumstances, you know what? It might have helped you because she was probably saying, he could have been, but it wouldn't have worked out. And it might have honestly gave her a better appreciation for the type of man that you are. Now, I'm going to hit y'all with some game. It's hard for a lot of men to hear this, but I need to share it anyway. Sometimes the best woman, and this is what some old school players told me when I was a freshman in college. He said sometimes the best woman is a type who's been dogged out at least one time and who has learned her lesson. Because then she learns to appreciate a good guy. See, a lot of guys, they get mad. They're like, that woman been with some thug or this or that. And it's a concern. It is a concern, because I've talked about that. That's a big concern, that whole ghost, that imprint ghost. But if she's been with that guy regardless. But it was just like, you know what? I can't mess with guys like this. That's actually a good thing. But as a man, you have to understand that. And I'm gonna just be straight up, because I know some women, they don't like a man asking about their sexual past. But if you're a man and you want a long-term, profound relationship, where you talking about having children and sharing assets, you need to sit down and have that conversation with the woman. And honestly, on some level, women need to sit down and have that conversation with the man. Though it's not as bad with men. But with if you look, fellas, because we all meet that one who's the one. Whether she's an adjustable 7 or a dime, whatever. Right? You need to just have that. It don't matter what other guy she's been with, really, to be honest. But that coulda, oh no, you need to have a conversation with her and just say, honey, is there a coulda in your life? And then you need to gauge from that conversation how much she's still thinking about him. Because sometimes women will have that coulda, and they'll have some fond memories. But if they were to run into that guy in the present day, they'd be like holding up a cross and some garlic or something. And sometimes they'd be ready to curse him out. That's some cases. But in another case, you get a lot of women, they looking back at that man. And see, what happened is a lot of times with that coulda, it was a purely sexual, pleasurable relationship, right? And what happened is, especially when a man gets married to a woman or in a long-term relationship, it's not going to be sexual and pleasurable all the time. Little things come in like bills, emergencies, the roof leaking, cars breaking down, stuff happening with family members. In other words, real life. There's a tendency by women to, if there's a rough patch, to look back at that favorable time and think, oh, maybe this could have happened. Even though they know it wouldn't, but they thinking about the pleasure. Because in all actuality, someone's smart and they'll say, if I got with that coulda, everything would be worse now. Everything would be worse. But you still had to, fellas, y'all got to ask that woman that question. And you got to be prepared for the answer. And you got to be strong enough. If she say, if she's honest with you and say, that dude rocked my damn world, you got to be strong to hear it. Don't let your ego get in the way of hearing whatever truth she got to share. Many men talk about women not being honest, but in reality, they developed that because many men have trouble hearing honesty from a woman. Now, get out the ego. If you didn't know her at the time, when she was dealing with that coulda, don't worry about what happened. It was what it was. Worry about her from the time that y'all met or started dating or whatever y'all doing. But because now, if it's a situation where that coulda is somebody that you know too, and you knew the situation, and it was a situation where she actually probably rejected you back in the day, oh, okay, yeah, keep that in mind. Though I can't understand why you would want to be with that woman if she rejected you back in the day. But that's just me. But always understand that, because that is going to affect the relationship, either good or bad. Like I said, in a good way, she decides she don't want anything to do with that type of personality. I mean, that can happen. That's a little known thing about the imprint. Sometimes women will make a conscious effort to get away from it. That's why you have a little niche industry of women talking about womb healing and stuff like that. They like, shit, I gotta clean this shit out. Seriously. But if you get a case otherwise, that man's still there. If she has nothing but fond memories, especially if it's a case where that coulda probably dumped her and not the other way around. Like if she dumped the coulda, yeah, and sometimes she'll remember some stuff, but then, at some point it'll come up why she dumped him to begin with. So it'll just be a memory, and she'll appreciate you and love everything about you. But if it was a situation where he dumped her, nah, that coulda still there, or she was a side something where she still got feelings for him. You need to know before you go forward, and you need to be honest with her and tell her straight up why. Tell her straight up why. Say, look, hold up. I don't want any interference. I don't want something to happen. I don't want you, everything in a rough patch. All of a sudden, you looking this guy up on social media, which many women do. Which many women do. They will look that guy up. So you need to know. You need to know. You need to sit down, have that real conversation. And in fact, if you're going to be long term with any woman, you need to have a conversation on a lot of shit. Seriously. A lot of people don't want to do that. They want to ignore stuff, and because they caught up in the romanticism of it. But if you're going to spend some time, because stuff is going to come up in the relationship, and I know I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but stuff is going to come up in a relationship that can't be solved by just having a good round of sex. If we talking, you need to have that conversation about your money philosophy, your philosophy about raising children, how you worshiping God or not worshiping God. Where would you want to live? How much y'all can tolerate each other's, less than desirable habits. Y'all need to have a real conversation. See, some people just say, well, we just going to make it work. Nah, it might not work. Y'all need to have it beforehand. You talking, see, here's the thing. Especially if it's a long-term relationship, and usually that entails some type of, marriage. You got to get a state license to get married. And trust me, money comes out one way or the other. So once the state becomes involved, it becomes a business. It becomes a business. You're talking about something where you could work hard for something and lose half of it. So beforehand, you need to find out everything. And just for the purposes of this video, find out about that Coulda. Because trust me, you could have everything right, but what? She's still looking at that Coulda's pictures on social media and sending him one of those messages talking about, hey, how you been? Oh, I'm just checking up on you. Oh yeah, you need to find that shit out. Man, it's not to say she a bad person or anything, and honestly, it's not to say that y'all can't work anything out, but you need to know. You need to get it out in the open, because many women have a Coulda. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.